Red Light Falling, written by Joseph and Marisha Cautilli. The novel Red Light Falling, a noir tale of redemptions by John Andrews, Joseph Cautilli, and Marisha Cautilli. Part 1 of the Nanite Nation trilogy. Director and producer, Roma Gray. Executive producer credits, Marisha and Joseph Cautilli. Narrated by Joshua Banks and Shauna Lee Carton. Music by Marisha Cautilli. As the flying police hover glides over the park, its searchlights cast long, eerie shadows. Officer J, tense and focused, scans the area below. The dirty, drug-riddled streets are no place for a runaway kid, and although he'd never admit it, Officer J worries about the boy. Justin, fidgeting in the back seat, breaks the silence. "You really think we'll find him, Officer J?" "Of course, it's Officer J now. All the respect. Where was that when you forced me to chase you?" Jay's eyes remained fixed on the ground, but his voice softened slightly. Jay exhales and switches his tone. "We have to, Justin. These streets will eat him alive if we don't." They pass a downed hover quad, broken up on the road. It appears to have hit a tree. "I gotta call this broken hover in," Officer J announces, having no idea it was the quad that Eddie bought from the junkie and crashed. He calls it in and gives the location for the crew to tow. 5 minutes later, Jay still has not given up. He mutters a string of curses under his breath, but keeps his eyes locked on the area for any signs of the kid. The hover dips lower, the beams of light sweeping across the park. Trees and playground equipment loom out of the darkness like ghostly figures. Justin's hands tighten around the edge of his seat. "I just don't get it. Why'd he run? Must have been something real bad." Jay grunts in agreement. "Do you really care?" Justin licks his lips. "Of course I do. Hate for anyone to meet their own demise." Jay had to hand it to Justin, who was indeed a charmer. Since the rush of climate refugees from both the Southwest water wars 40 years earlier and the hurricane that wiped out Key West, as well as most of Wall Street's section of New York after that, the streets of this area, once several cities including New York and Philadelphia, now just referred to as New Cyber City, with the more New York sections often referenced as Cyber City, saw many runaways, throwaways, and just homeless kids on the street. There was no way to save them all, even though deep inside, Jay always felt the urge to try. Could be anything. Abuse, fear. Maybe he doesn't feel like he belongs. The city's got a way of chewing people up and spitting them out. Officer J understands the feeling of not belonging. All his life, he's had the feeling that there was something about him that was different. Unlike his sister, Colleen, he just did not fit into the world. Justin falls silent, thinking about his reasons for running from that law from his past. The searchlight catches something moving near the swings. Jay jerks the controls, bringing the hover to a halt. "There. Did you see that?" Justin nods, eyes wide. "Yeah. Looked like someone running." Officer J catches sight of a woman passing the kid. "Maybe he's not a runaway," Jay starts saying, but then the woman moves past the kid. Briefly, she glances at him, as if recognizing something, but then she quickly passes on toward two teens. Nope, he's not her kid. Jay drops the hover lower. The engines whir and fan blades spinning, mixing with the night sounds of buzzing neon, crickets, and cicadas. They see a small figure darting through the park, trying to stay in the shadows. He is clearly trying to avoid getting caught. Kid's got guts. Good. It will help him survive his time in juvie, Jay mutters, guiding the hover in pursuit. "See, just when I start to think you are human." "Keep that shit up, kid, and I'll feed you to Black's robot myself." Justin leans forward, straining against his seatbelt. What do we do if he runs? We don't give him a chance. Kid has been hobbling. I think he might be hurt. You ready? I'm going to jump out and grab him if I can. Don't worry, the car has an auto hover function. I'll key you down later. I can jump out. Justin volunteers and Jay greets that with a sinker. Of course, the kid likes to jump out and run to the hills far from where the officer can catch him. The hover lands softly on the grass and Jay sprints out. Justin clumsily tries to loosen his belt. It is not moving, and the cuffs dig tighter into his hands. If he moves too much or too quickly, they will deliver a taser-like shock to him. Jay moves quickly, the searchlight fixed on the boy. Eddie turns, his eyes wide with fear, but he has nowhere to go. He's cornered by a fence. I was in an accident. My hover went down. Hey, it's okay, Jay calls out, holding his hands up. He shows the kid he is not holding a weapon. And while the kid is only a preteen, Jay hopes the kid doesn't have a gun. This is the new Cyber City, after all. I'm here to help. I'll take you to the station. We have doctors there. Real nice one, Dr. Gill. On most days, Officer Jay hates Dr. Gill, but the kid does not need to know that. The tension over taking perpetrators to the hospital or leaving them in the jail cell they belong in goes back for many years. The boy's chest heaves as he backs against the fence, eyes darting up and down over Jay. I didn't do anything wrong. I know, kid. I just want to get you somewhere safe. The boy hesitates, then slumps, exhausted. Jay moves closer, speaking softly. Let's get you out of here, kid. These streets aren't safe. Okay. Now, I might talk a bit gruff around the other kid. He's a bit of a creep, but don't mind me. You can even call me a name or two. I won't mind. Officer Jay makes sure to glance at the kid's hands. He has only 5 fingers, so he knows the boy is not genetically enhanced. He breathes a sigh of relief. It was a problem more of a previous decade than this one. Still, it remains procedure. Justin watches from the hover as he helps the boy to his feet. Justin can't help but feel a pang of empathy as Officer Jay slaps the cuffs over the kid's wrists. He knows all too well what feeling lost and scared is like. As the hover rises back into the sky, the city lights flickering below, Justin bows silently to look out for this kid, just like he wishes someone had done for him. He hears the kid yell, "Let me go, you fucking loser!" So the kid is wise. Jay is a loser. In New Cyber City, the Community Education Center is the heart of all punk shows. Located on Lancaster Avenue, it features nearly 5 bands for a single ticket price. Johnny decides to head there and show Eddie's picture around for leads. As a former punk scene kid, he doubts anyone will give him information. They'd probably think the parents hired him to bring the runaway home to some abusive setting to lessen their guilt and save their reputation in the community. Hell, they might even unfairly toss the kid in some mental institution. Still, he feels it's worth the attempt. Johnny steps into the dingy, graffiti-covered place. The air smells of sweat, cigarettes, and cheap beer. A new band, Karen's Corner, rips out a song they just wrote called Brain Dead and Happy. The pulsating lights and the booming sound system almost overwhelm his senses. Johnson thinks, "Welp, here goes nothing." Johnny weaves through the crowd, his eyes scanning faces lit by flickering neon. He approaches 2 girls with brightly dyed hair and punk attire. He holds up Eddie's picture. "Excuse me, have you seen this kid?" They glance at the photo, then at him with cold detachment.
What's it to you?
"I'm trying to help him. He's missing. I'm trying to get him home safe."
Shit. Guys like you care to get him home safe. But will the kid be safe once he gets there?
Good question. Johnny has no answer. He did not know much about Lilli or her boyfriend. Maybe he should do some digging on that topic. He also wondered about 427's tip of the corporate council getting involved in the murder of the other kid. He has no reason to link the two cases together, but his gut nags at him. Maybe he should dig a little into Hastings and its founder. In the end, he shrugs. The girls exchange skeptical looks and then glare at him.
Sorry. Haven't seen him.
The girls mutter before turning away. The pit rages with the jumble of arms and legs pushing off each other. One guy makes it to the stage and leaps into the crowd. They catch him. He lays on his back as they're spinning from one end of the room to the other. Johnny sighs and continues through the chaotic throngs. He spots a guy who used to be a young buck when he was in the scene. Now the guy hangs in the back, sort of a bouncer, committed to the local scene. Yo, Max. Max turns, recognizing Johnny. His eyes light up. Johnny fucking Johnson. What brings you here? Recapturing a moment of the old youth? Looking for a missing kid. Johnny shows Eddie's picture. Any leads? Oh, right. Heard two rumors about you. One was you were dead. The other was you'd become a detective. Hell, both might be true. Max squints at the photo. No, I haven't seen him. But you might want to check with those kids by the arcade machines. They might know something. Johnny nods and makes his way to the back, where a group of teens is gathered around the retro arcade machines. The dim-lit casts eerie shadows on their faces as they play, the beeping and blipping of the games blending with the music. His hands move with lightning speed. Hey, Johnny says to a kid who looks about Eddie's age. Do you know this guy? He holds up the picture. The boy glances at the photo and then at Johnny. Yeah, I know Eddie. He went to my school. Haven't seen him lately, though. Any idea where he might hang out? Johnny presses for a lead. Anything to go on. Kid shrugs. He loves those old school arcades. There's a retro one a few blocks from here. You might want to check there. Thanks, kid, Johnny says, patting the boy's shoulder. The kid jerks his arm away. Get away from me, creep, before I taser you. Oops, sorry, kid. You're right. Leaving now. In spite of his over-familiarity at getting the news, Johnny felt hope. This was good news. The arcade the kid referred to employed his old friend Trixie when the diner laid her off. It's been a while since he saw her, but he thought their last encounter went well and feels sure that she will help. Thus, he leaves the pulsating chaos of the community education center with a renewed sense of purpose, heading toward the retro arcade, hoping to find Eddie safe and sound. Hovering gently, the black and white police cruiser descends to parking landing mode. Dust clouds envelop the vehicle, and plumes ascend as Officer J switches it to hibernation mode. A hole opens beneath his parking space, and a silver tube connects to the airship, efficiently recharging its energy cells. For 5 decades since 2025, more efficient fuel cells have emerged, each shortening the charge time. Officer J stumbles and nearly collides with a young child zipping on hover boots, her dog pulling her along. Justin hears the music blasting from her Marilyn Monroe bot by a static lullaby. Preacherson smirks as Officer J dusts himself off. Jay grumbles as the girl with her dog shouts.
Sorry.
Before continuing down the street, Jay opens the back door to the cruiser, which slides fluidly into the slot in the vehicle's body. With a grimace, Jay presses the button to release the teen from the laser bonds. Next, he releases the seatbelt harness and helps Justin exit the quad. The cop escorts his still cuffed catch up the stairs and into the doors of the scorched wing department of the Metro City Police Force. When Jay pushes him through the door, people inside the building stop and stare. Tropical blue light bathes the walls. The mob around the head desk retreats as Jay and his prey approach. The snarking and complaining increase. The main desk attracts most attention to the room's focal point. In front of it, A large man with a fuzzy red beard lords over the people. "What's happening, Red?" Officer J inquires as he pushes Justin past the desk. "Same old shit. You know, the rest. What you got?" "What haven't I got? It's a two for today. The usual. GTQ, eluding, reckless driving, resisting arrest, contempt of cops, being a teenage putz." Jay grips Preacherson's shoulder. "And you?" "Young and stupid know-it-all." Amazingly, the deafening noise in the room settles. In the background, the radio plays Faded by Alan Walker. The old sergeant behind the desk glances at two officers, Jay and Red, and then peers at the two youngsters they hold. Jay points to Eddie. "Well, I found this one, bursting forth like a herd of wild buffalo were after him. He seemed pretty beat down and haggard, but I caught him joyriding someone's quad. Kid's just a babe. God, they keep getting younger." The old sergeant hands some paperwork to the teens as Officer J, younger by about a decade and a half, pushes Justin toward a desk. While Red is older, daily trips to the gym and metabolic enhancement give him a muscular outline. The two teens' sunken eyes scan the room as the officers sit them opposite each other at a small desk to the side. The boys nervously stare at the front desk and then at their arresting officers. "What do you got, Jay?" "Oh, is that Justin there? How you doing, kid? What did you do now? If his father were only alive, God rest his soul." Justin loses his nervous grin at the mention of his father, who died 3 years ago when Justin was 14. Red's gaze shifts to Eddie. "Hey, wait a minute. I don't know this kid. He's new." "Yep, you won't say his name. Might need to see Doc Bell for a scan. Says he was in a quad accident earlier." Red nods and places a note for the doctor to be summoned for a scan. If something serious comes up, they will take the kid to the hospital. "Justin, write your real name. We all know you, kid," Red retorts after looking at Preacherson filling out the form. "You've been here before, numerous times. Frankly, we're sick of seeing you. Why couldn't you be like your poor old dad, bless his soul?" Previously tried and convicted, Preacherson should have been sent to the state prison, but with good public defenders and his young age, he has only been sent to juvenile hall. Over time, he lost respect for the world, himself, the police, and especially the Scorched Wing Division. Maybe it's because they all knew and respected his father, an officer in the Flaming Wing Division. Annual assault course exercises brought these men into competitive comradeship. Angry at his father for dying, Justin found himself alone. As a small boy, his mother left, and his father tried his best, but then he was killed in the line of duty. Afterward, the teen went off the rails and got into petty crime. Nowadays, he lives without ideals, except one: pulling off the greatest con to be set for life. Giving a name is the easy part. The officers proceed with booking, fingerprints, DNA sample, and three-dimensional facial recognition scans. On Eddie, nothing shows up. Due to its size, Justin's rap sheet takes a few minutes to print out. While they wait, Jay mutters impatiently about spending so much time on Preacherson and all the red tape. Suddenly, a quake rumbles through the department. The water cooler shakes, and the man behind the front desk shouts for everyone to hit the deck. Small items and stacks of paper fall, and a few people who don't get down in time topple over. Still, in cuffs, Preacherson launches toward the door. A neon exit sign detaches from the wall and dangles precariously over the door. As the sign falls, Jay grabs the kid from the back, and with a grumble about his own back, throws him hard to the floor. "Stay down!" The old officer screeches as the kid scuffs and squirms on the floor. Against department policy, Jay knees the kid once in the back. The older teen laughs. He thinks this is funny. Red provokes, tapping a few keys on his computer, sending the processing information to the network server. Vexed by the situation, Jay lets a moment of anger surface. He believes anger is better to display than despair for this teen. The kid needs a firm hand or a swift kick in the derriere. Sorrow and despair only sink the teen deeper into trouble. "I'll give him funny," Jay retorts, jerking the kid harshly, mumbling about the overprivileged. "Dude, watch my shoulder! You'll dislocate it!" Officer J draws back. "Is it okay?" The kid nods. "Of course it is." Kid's preparing his mistreatment complaint already. The elder officer hovers his fingers for a nanosecond, then lowers M83's weight on the radio. He calls to the teen. "Keep it up, kid, and I'll leave you in a room with Detective Black." The teen had a bad experience with the detective before and claimed brutally against the man and his robotic partner, Detective 427. "Oh, please. Not another round of whiny lawyers. Damn bleeding hearts." Red laughs. His belly rises and falls. "You're a social worker, dude. You confused the kid for his father." "Yeah, that's me. The little liberal." Shaking his head, Jay scoffs, pushing the teen forward. After filling out the forms, both teens are sent to the lockup. They are combed, relieved of their personal effects, and receive denim jail clothes. There, they wait until further notice. Jay and Red need to settle the place after the fracking earthquake, while Preacherson and Whit occupy the same pale brown cell. They begin talking. First, they discuss the strong disinfectant smell. Finally, Justin tells Eddie how he crashed into the falling boy and grabbed him. Because of this, Eddie opens up and offers his name. Justin says, "Nice to meet you, Eddie. So yeah, there I was, just minding my own business, testing this new board for a friend, you know?" Justin explains. Eddie, although young, has seen his fair share of cop shows, fictional and real, and gapes at the slightly older teen with disbelief. Okay. It's the new Abe Coke Hover Elite. I had to try it out, so I swiped it. But then, the stupid cops came to spoil my fun. I was on the point of escaping when you arrived, literally falling into my life. Hey, I'm not cold-hearted. I managed to steer us down, well, we're alive, right? Eddie, a preteen of 11, feels close to the older teen. Maybe the last few days on the street have taken the fight out of him. Or perhaps it's something about Preacherson's laid-back, soothing voice. But Eddie feels like he can trust him. With his laughing, listening, and joking, Preacherson makes people around him feel fantastic. Eddie feels relaxed, even though they are just sitting, waiting for the process to run its course. "So, Eddie, what are you running from? And don't bullshit a pro." Justin winks at Eddie and grins genuinely. Justin is taken to Eddie like he's the little brother he always wanted. "Well, see, it's like this, okay? My mom, she was happy. But my father died." Eddie is silent for a moment. Justin doesn't push him, so they sit silently in the holding cell. Slowly, Eddie opens up again. I guess she just wanted a better life for us. We lived downtown. We didn't have money, but we got by, just barely. Then I started to get headaches and these seizures and shit. Real crappy stuff, and, well, she had problems paying the doctor's bills. That's when Tom came on the scene. He started dating. I got pulled from school, my friends, and my neighborhood, and we moved uptown with this Tom guy. Some bigwig with that Hastings place. I don't like him. He asks odd questions and only pays attention to me when I have a moment of illness. Other than that, he didn't care. Justin nods as he listens to the quiet boy, feeling a momentary rage. The sullen boy stares at the dirty cell floor. Justin realizes he feels hungry and could use some water and the dried-out fried chicken sandwich the station usually passes out to the prisoners in the holding cells. Suddenly, the thick metal bars of their cage begin to shake. At first, Justin thinks it's another fracking quake, but then the boy beside him starts to shake as well. Justin grabs Eddie's shoulder and feels heat emanating from the young boy's skin. Gently, he shakes him as he calls his name. As suddenly as the shaking starts, it stops. Eddie opens his eyes and gazes sadly at Justin. "Sorry this keeps happening. I'm a freak, a damn mutant." Eddie gets up and starts pacing the cell. "Hey, kid, maybe you have special powers. I mean, how cool is that, huh? Most mutants die before childbirth, or die from cancer, or something just after birth. They call them genetic defects. Even these poor kids in the Mercury Project wound up screwed by anxiety and birth defects. But you are so much more. Besides, we all know the mutant gene was cured a decade ago. It's all in the modern history books, so maybe you look like a freak." Justin laughs slowly and strangely, reminding Eddie of one of his moronic neighbors. It quells Eddie's dark thoughts as he pokes his tongue out at the older boy, and they both start laughing. The two adolescents bond in their short time together as they talk and wait. Justin, the elder of the two, recognizes something in Eddie, something like a younger brother he wants to protect. Eddie laughs at some joke Justin just told. Justin feels a pang in his heart. A thought lingers in his mind. "I need to save and protect this young boy." Pit forms in his stomach. He shakes his head to clear his thoughts and gazes away, knowing all too well that he is indeed his father's son, having a substantial goodwill inside to protect this particular kid. "You too," the guard announces. Eddie's stomach somersaults. Nervous, the guards notice his power, overhears his conversation. "Doctor for the kid. Then we're ready to move you to the holding tank." Eddie lets out an audible sigh of relief. The doctor enters, scanning. "Dr. Gill? Why?" Justin's question brings butterflies back to Eddie's stomach. "See the cracks? It's probably safe, but we want to ensure you princesses are not hurt if the roof collapses." "Oh, don't worry, princess." The guard teases, and then his eyes narrow into a harsh expression. "We need to take you to review your statement first." The doctor asks Eddie questions and reviews the scans with him. Robert Hastings stands at the opening ceremony of his new road, paid for with his own money. It's his way of giving back to the community. After earning so much from selling his products, the old man checks his smartwatch and yawns, understanding that even with the nanites coursing through his veins, his time in this world is nearing an end. Still, the corporate giant hopes that his life might soon be reborn. As Hastings watches the crowd with amicable feelings, he recalls when he was one of those peasants down on the asphalt, poor, but with a dream. As a young man studying science and business, he came up with the idea of degradable diapers, made from a new sponge-like paper. Absorbent and easily degradable, comparable to the old style, they worked cost-efficiently and made him millions, more than enough to venture into other products and quickly build up Hastings Corporation, turning it into the conglomerate it is today. He smiles and waits while the mayor speaks. After her talk, she introduces him, and he gives a speech. "Society once forced businesses to pay for moochers. Imagine taking care of the poor. What good does that do?" Hastings gazes around at the crowd. The nanites in his system surge, and the human part feels regret, even with his brain modified. "Since we built the corporate council to govern, the world has set its priorities straight. No more taking care of the weak and infirm. Everyone has a right to work, and now there are no unions to block that right. With silly strikes, we have almost no unemployment. People are either productive or they starve. While Hastings speaks, the workers politely listen and clap at the appropriate times. They are glad to have jobs. Even working 60-hour weeks, many cannot make ends meet for their families. For many, it is a luxury to take a vacation. Most companies cannot afford paid vacation days, so the workers risk getting laid off to take personal time and hope to get rehired when they return. Hastings stands by as the large water fountain monument sprays water high in the air. The water dances in changing colors, primarily shades of blue and red, the colors of Hastings Corporation. In the center of the fountain, a statue of Hastings stands majestically with its arm raised to the sky. The quote below the fountain reads, "Elimination of regression and the movement of progress starts with eliminating the incentive for being poor." Hastings gulps deeply and gazes at the golden sun in the sky. The sun is beautiful and full of promise of a happy day, a better day, but a promise regrettably never achieved. Hastings feels an emptiness. He recalls hearing once that the orchestra of the Titanic started playing after the ship began sinking. Is this the folly of his immortality? To be playing while mankind sinks? No, his life has to mean more. An unexpected downpour drenches the city. Joe Christian and his friend Timmy Long duck under a blue awning to escape the rain. 6 people huddle with them, staring into the street. Rain hammers the awning. Joe notices a pretty girl shivering in the corner. Her hair clings to her face and she rubs her arms for warmth. "Hi, I'm Joe." Timmy giggles, flickering a lighter and taking a drag on his cigarette. At 16, they've seen Joe strike out with lots of women, nicknamed the Strikeout King. Joe never gives up. Around 25 and very pretty, this girl seems likely to be another strikeout. Looking up, the girl offers a small smile.
Hi.
"Did you get caught in the rain?" Joe instantly regrets the stupid question. He braces for her skepticism, but she seems warm and receptive.
Yeah. My quad is up the next block, and my shopping bag's broke.
She clutches an armful of items, her shoulders slightly hunched against the cold. Joe's heart races. "We can help with the bags," Joe offers, shifting his weight nervously. She raises an eyebrow. "I mean, if you'll give us a ride." Joe's palms sweat for 20 minutes as he chats with her, seeking opportunities to make her laugh. Timmy leans against the wall, snickering quietly. The girl tells Joe she's a waitress, but wants to be a writer. Joe explores her hopes and dreams, and the conversation flows naturally. She tilts her head, listening intently, her eyes lighting up when discussing her passion. When the rain slows, Joe offers again to help carry her purchases to her quad. She agrees, and he counts his blessings. They split the cumbersome load of makeup, clothing, and food. Her quad chirps and flashes when she opens the doors remotely. They place the items in the trunk.
Well, you boys certainly kept your end of the deal. Get in.
She praises, her eyes crinkling with a smile. The boys enter the quad. Once inside, Joe confesses. "I forgot your name." He hopes it doesn't kill the mood. He feels happy and somehow connected when she giggles. A wry smile crosses her lips.
You never asked in the first place. It's Turtle Dove.
With that, she locks the doors and drives. If Johnny Johnson hadn't seen the insanity with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. The arcade, a flashback to the types of arcades so popular in the 1990s. Sports, multiple games, and play systems. But the kids still flock here for the augmented reality. Retro. a longing for simpler times. This one even has go-karts and laser tag. Thinks Johnson. The private eye recalls these things from childhood, but they have gone out of style. The walls are a festive sable zircon color, with a pottery clay brushstroke. Johnson suppresses the urge to puke. Overhead, green neon laser lights fill the smoky air. In the background, Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs bellows. In his mind, Johnson does a few of his old dance moves, but his body doesn't follow for fear it would disrupt his image. With young kids running all over, Johnson tries hard not to get knocked over. He feels beyond old and out of place. He studies some of the newer arcade machines where kids as young as 9 shoot at screens showing heads exploding in a spectacular spray of blood, brains, and shrapnel. He recalls Mario Kart and Street Fighter games, feeling ancient now. Climbing the stairs to the second floor, Johnson is unsure what he hopes to find, but he knows a few people who work at the arcade. He goes to the cage where patrons exchange skee-ball points for prizes. Is Trixie working tonight? He asks the kid behind the counter. The kid gapes blankly. Johnson stares out into the sea of unrecognizable faces. There are so many kids with faces awash and video game light that he knows he'll never find Eddie, even if he goes from game to game. In the corner, several boys in their early 20s play holographic darts. They are too old for Eddie to hang around. His mind debates the best place to start, but a sound shocks him back to the present.
Dad?
Johnny hears a familiar voice. He turns and recognizes his daughter, Katrina, emerging from the crowd. He ponders, wow, I wonder what she's doing here. Briefly, his mind drifts to thoughts of Katrina as a child. He wants to kick himself hard for how he failed her. There's so much to say, so little time to say it, and life is always in the way. As she speaks, his mind always envisions her as the little girl who pushed him to pay for Suzuki method violin training. Initially, he opposed the idea, but she knew better than he knew her, even at 6 years old. While the violin was expensive, she turned out to be quite good. Lunging at him and kissing his cheek, Katrina makes him sit down at the arcade's food counter. She starts telling him all about her day. He orders cheesesteaks with extra onions for himself and his daughter, along with 2 sodas. As they sip the cola, he asks her what brings her out to the arcade. Booker T finishes and is quickly replaced with Betray by Minor Threats. Eclectic jukebox. I like it. Johnny thinks. The game lights flash through the dining area, but the music drowns out the sounds of the video games of virtual reality machines.
Actually, I'm here on a date. We will do the escape room on the second floor in about 15 minutes. And then some laser tag.
She points to the guy who seems to be trying to keep his distance. When they glance at him, the guy tries hard to make himself small. He pushes himself close to a video game. He appears to be a real loser. Inside, Johnny blames himself. Maybe if he'd been more of a father, his daughter would have better taste in men.
So, what brings you here, Dad?
Katrina asks, snapping Johnny out of his guilt. He shifts gears quickly. Proudly, Johnson says, working.
Wow, like a case?
Says Katrina, tapping the table with her right index finger.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some missing kid. It's not a big case, but it pays the bills.
So, who are you looking for?
Well, that is confidential. But I'm trying to see if one of my contacts is around to help. You remember Trixie? I want to see if he is an arcade-type kid. It is fashionable again, and he seems like the time. The excited smile on Katrina's face drops, replaced by a subtle rage.
Yeah, I remember Trixie. Real homewrecker, that one.
It was never like that, Johnson replies, wanting a harder drink now more than ever. Still scornful, Katrina adds.
So, you don't want to tell me who you're looking for? Maybe I've seen him.
Well, if you must know. Johnson whips out a picture of Eddie. Katrina holds the picture. She stares for a minute.
Cute kid.
Katrina offers, tapping her fingers on the table.
What did he do?
Nothing, really. He's just missing.
Maybe he ran away thinking his parents didn't care.
Be better than getting kidnapped. Katrina's boyfriend waves to her.
Hey, I gotta get back to my date. Don't be a stranger.
I won't be, Johnson says, kissing her on the cheek. He misses Katrina already. Katrina marches to her date and briefly kisses him, and then the two head off. Johnson feels horrible. He has missed so much of his daughter's childhood. She said not to be a stranger, but in some ways, he already made himself one. Not just to her, but to everyone, including himself. Billie Holiday's "The Very Thought of You" surfaces in Johnson's mind, and a smile crosses his lips, though it's tinged with sadness. Alone now, Johnson gets up and walks across the floor. In the corner, an older worker jostles by the music machine. Moving toward her, Johnson laughs and calls, "Trixie!" Sensing trouble, the bouncer starts to move toward Johnson. When Johnson reaches for her, she glares at him harshly. Then her eyes soften as she recognizes his face. The bouncer backs away. A few minutes tick by as Johnson makes the customary inquiries about family and past friends. Finally, Trixie asks,
So, Pooh Bear, what brings you here?
Johnson abhors the affectionate nickname of Pooh Bear she had christened him with early in their friendship. He thinks, fat and dumb. Trixie thought Johnny was a snuggly bear to cling to when she felt highly emotional. He reminds her of childhood days with her fluffy bear. But he holds his tongue regarding how much the nickname annoys him. Staring into Trixie's eyes, Johnson notices fine lines formed at their corners. He puts some of those wrinkles on her face. He feels responsible. Does there have to be a reason for me to come see you? Trixie makes a face, then lights a cigarette and takes a puff. Johnson notices the room lacks good ventilation.
Well, Johnny, I wish not, but I haven't seen you for months. Then suddenly tonight, you just show up out of the blue?
After she speaks, Trixie breaks into a sad sort of laugh. Trixie's laugh allows Johnson a chance to smile. Glistening sweat forms on his brow and rolls down his forehead and cheeks. Well, there is one thing. Can I get you a soda or something?
Here it comes.
Trixie interrupts with a snarl. Sensing her frustration, Johnson hands the picture of the kid to her.
Eddie. The kid comes in all the time. He ain't been here all week, though. I heard some kid saying earlier that he was in jail.
Shifting his voice to a quieter tone, Johnson inquires, Jail?
Yup.
Trixie lapses into expectant silence. Finally, she says,
Anything else you need, Detective Johnson?
The heat of the room seems to sap Johnson's energy. Trixie's words are a slap to him. I didn't think you would mind me asking.
Well, you're wrong. You're always asking.
Trixie retorts, wagging a finger and furrowing her eyebrows. In Johnny's mind, he burned another bridge, although he is unsure how. He wants to hang on to Trixie. He wants to say something, anything. But in the end, all he can do is lean into her, kiss her cheek, and walk off. Johnson sits in his old rust bucket with the local paper, the new Cyber City Chronicles, strewn across his lap, while he tries to wrestle off the plastic lid of his takeout coffee. The smell of the coffee pushes him on, but he hates those lids. Each sip through that little slit seems to intensify the heat, and he ends up with scalded lips at the very least. He glances up to the street. Several quads rest on a narrow solar drive line by a few abandoned low-rises. Surveillance cameras cover the street's electrical poles. Spray-painted dumpsters overflow with garbage. Even the streets are covered with broken bottles, crumpled cans, and plastic bags. Sometimes the kids squat in the houses, holding some promise the youth he seeks might be here. Still, Johnny catches sight only of teens in quads seeking romantic privacy or worse, juice. Users sprawled out on the street, needle guns in their arms, and augmented reality sets over their eyes to enhance the high. Sick with disgust, Johnny's eyes drop back to his newspaper. The top of the paper reads, "All the news you can trust." The Chronicle is one of the few papers to survive when all the others moved on to the internet. Ads pay for the papers, making them free to readers. The date reads April 24th, 2086. In the corner, a digital thermometer displays the day's temperature. High 93 degrees, low 86. Even looking at the temperature makes him want to jump in the shower and douse himself with its reclaimed level 2 water. While the water is inappropriate for drinking, it is great for cooling off. He picks up a pen, writes 30, and circles it. 30 is the number of consecutive days over 90 degrees. There was a time when April was cold. When he'd been a boy, chilly 50-degree temperatures occurred in April. Of course, the scientists predicted the changes back then. Even later, when he was a young man and he and his ex-wife fought to stop the pollution warming the air. They lost the battle a long time ago. The detective shudders, and his eyes move to the main story. The main story, his tired eyes skim through, is about a couple of teens, 15 and 16, being burnt alive after a quad went up in a ball of flames near the dock in the lower New Cyber City. The authorities assume they had stolen the quad. Such a waste, he mutters, regrets heavy in his voice. Johnson gulps down half the steaming coffee. The bitter liquid caresses his tongue and he closes his eyes. He wonders about his son Joe. A year older than Katrina, Joe has just started college, studying biomechanics. Johnson hopes for his boy's safety, and he hasn't seen him for a few months. Joe moved out of Jackie's place and into a college dorm. Lifting the coffee cup to his lips, Johnny realizes it's cold. Pang of longing leaves him, and regret of drinking the stuff enters. He had lost his way. After Jackie left, he moved away from his values regarding the consumption of substances. Worse is the damage time has done to his values on relationships. Time seems to pass much quicker at his age than when he was a kid. Johnny sighs, finishes the cold coffee, and quickly looks through the other pages before scanning the obituaries. He folds the paper and tosses it onto the passenger seat, then starts up the cell power and hovers upwards. Adhering to his remaining straight-edge values, Johnny steers clear of hard substances and keeps his mind sharp. At least something remained consistent. He often feels like an outsider in this city of excess and decay. The contrast between his disciplined life and the chaotic world around him is stark. His dedication to clean living and self-control sets him apart, a beacon of resilience in a world losing itself to hedonism. Johnny's thoughts return to Eddie as he hovers above the grimy streets. The kid is out there somewhere, vulnerable and lost. The drive to find him intensifies. It's not just about solving a case, it's about saving a life. Johnny's commitment to his straight-edge philosophy fuels his determination. He won't give up on Eddie, just as he never gave up on himself. The neon lights of the cyber city blur below him, a dazzling display of artificial promises. Johnny clenches the controls, his resolve hardening. He won't let this city swallow another soul, not on his watch. In the holding cell, Eddie observes the precinct room more than his cellmates. He's somewhat alarmed by the people he shares a cell with and realizes he shouldn't be caught staring. The boy picks at the skin of his thumb by his fingernail, the irritated cuticle starting to bleed lightly. Over the years, the county started playing soft music so that the detainees could keep fighting down a relaxing sort of thing, Now, in the city, From the Eagles plays in the background. The gray, dirty cell offers little comfort. The sink in the center has brown stains around the sides, and the toilet in the corner gives off a stale sewage smell that fills the air. Anxious, Eddie doubts he can talk his way out of this. The whole experience is far from how he imagined his summer would go, and he fears the police will take him back to his mother. After booking, they are moved from the other holding area. Eddie worries he will be placed with adults and won't see the other teen again. These fears are quickly relieved when he spots the teen with green dreads. It's hard not to see him. Although it's still a bit of a blur, Eddie knows the boy saved his life. Several cellmates pace back and forth, two off to the side speaking hushed tones, stretching like a cat. Preacherson eyes Eddie up and down, seeming to decide on something. After several minutes, Preacherson walks behind Eddie and whispers in his ear,
"Don't worry, kid. I'll get us out."
Then Preacherson strolls to the sink, hawks up a wad of phlegm, and spits it into the basin. Eddie cringes, chewing his lip. His mind races with prison stories. He reaches his hands down to the side of his pants and gives a light tug, wiping the sweat from his palms without making it too noticeable. He moves his fingers to the bridge of his nose and squeezes. The long wait eats at his spirit. Time seems to have stopped. It sinks into his head that he isn't cut out for any incarceration. He knows well that a kid his age is too young to be thrown in an adult state penitentiary. However, in the last decade, the laws have somewhat changed, and kids can be held in a cell for up to 48 hours, beginning at the age of 10. Eddie isn't the only one who seems wholly overwhelmed. Behind him, a pack of kids tease an obese boy, no more than 16. They make him sob badly. Even though he doesn't fight back, Eddie worries they might pound on him. Most other kids retreat to corners of the cell, feigning sleep. Eddie takes a deep breath and musters the courage to speak. "Hey, you okay?" Eddie asks the crying boy, trying to sound casual. The boy sniffles and wipes his nose on his sleeve.
"Yeah, just leave me alone,"
he mutters, his voice shaky. Preacherson saunters over, smirking. "What's your name, kid?" Jesse has learned talking to others in prison is a way to pass the time. Idle time, just present opportunities for fights to brew.
"Jesse."
The boy mumbles, avoiding eye contact.
"Jesse, huh? Well, Tommy, you gotta toughen up. This place will eat you alive if you don't,"
Preacherson says, leaning against the wall with a casual air. Eddie shifts uncomfortably, feeling the weight of the situation.
"So, what are you in for, Jesse?"
Jesse glances up, his eyes red and puffy.
"Went to protest Hastings. Those fascist bastards tried to run me over. Got angry, then did something stupid. Got caught stealing. My mom's gonna kill me."
Preacherson's smirk fades slightly, replaced with a hint of understanding. "Join the club, kid. We're all in here for something." Eddie nods, trying to keep the conversation going.
"Yeah, I got into a fight with my mom. Didn't mean to, but it happened. Ran off, crashed a junk hover quad I bought, wound up here. Feel a bit sick, but Doc says I'm fine."
Jesse sniffs again, his voice trembling.
"I just wanted to help my mom. She's sick and we don't have money."
Preacherson's demeanor softens a bit more.
"That sucks, man. But you gotta be smart about it. Don't get caught next time."
Eddie feels a pang of sympathy for Jesse. If his stepdad had not taken his mother in, would he be as broken and desolate as this kid?
"Maybe we can figure something out. Help each other, you know?"
A glimmer of hope shines in Jesse's eyes.
"You think so?"
Preacherson shrugs, his tough exterior returning.
"Sure, kid. I got work. I could always use a kid with talent. Of course, we have to work on yours. It might be you make restitution for what you stole. Maybe. But first, we gotta get out of here."
The awkward conversation lingers, a mix of fear and uncertainty. Eddie realizes they're all just kids, trying to survive in a world that seems determined to crush them. He glances around the cell, noticing the subtle shifts in body language, the anxious fidgeting, the tense shoulders, the wary glances. It's clear that everyone here is on edge, grappling with their fears and regrets. After a long 20-minute wait, a woman in her 30s, a little overweight and with curly auburn hair, arrived at the precinct front desk. She smells like she bathes in lavender, which becomes noticeable 10 feet from the desk. She grasps the crucifix around her neck and squeezes it for strength. For the next 40 minutes, she fills out the paperwork. "Once again, for Preacherson," Red says. The woman, obviously well known in the Scorched Wing Division, smiles up at Red, who is on desk duty. "I'd hate to have your job, Sharon. How many cases do you have now?"
Oh, just 3 now, and Justin isn't the worst one, which is good. I wouldn't want his old man up there peering down and thinking his boy was the teen terror of New Cyber City. And besides, he seems to be calming down. This is the first time in months he's been in trouble. Maybe, just maybe, the anger is receding, and he's finally growing up. Oh, don't get me wrong. There are certainly days when I feel like just giving up and tossing this all aside. I guess that's how a parent would feel.
Red gazes at Sharon. They all like her in the precinct. She works hard for the kids, but even she has limits. Preacherson aged out of foster care about a year ago, and now he's a forgotten kid to the system. Sharon does her best to keep him from falling through the cracks. Her best method for keeping the kids off the street and hopefully out of jail is placing them in counselor-patrolled halfway houses. It gives them independence, yet the state can still watch over them. In short, the best that can be done is awful, and she knows it. Maybe he's learning to stay out of trouble. I hope you're right. Are you going to take this Landers kid? We know it's a fake name. He wasn't smart enough to give us a phony number, though. This rattling guy sounds like a douchebag, if you ask me. And I can't shake the feeling I know the name from somewhere. He said he'd decide. But we heard nothing so far. The kid said he wants to go with Justin to get a burger. So...
I don't think so.
She taps her handheld. Eddie's bogus name is on her list.
Yeah, they're with me. But if someone shows up for this kid, you get them to call me, okay? System is searching to find his real parents.
After they are given their street clothes, a young officer leads the 2 boys from the cell block and up to Sharon, handing over a form and pen for her to sign. He waits, thanking her after she signs and hands it back. Then he leaves the boys with her. Behind Sharon, Justin hears a stern woman say,
I'm here to pick up Jesse.
A ping of regret hits Justin. He'd like to have trained Jesse. The crowded and noisy room makes it difficult to think. He wants to leave his number with Jesse, so the kid can get in touch with him. But everything moves too quickly, and the crowd pushes him through. Justin turns to the officer, wanting to say something, but the guard reflexively reaches for his telescoping Kubaton. Appearing shocked, Justin's mouth twists and he just walks forward. Eddie's still by his side. Justin, try to stay out of trouble. Luck, Sharon, Red says as he watches the 3 of them leave. Sharon shakes her head as she passes through the doors. As they enter the neon-lit night, its lights refract off the colloid smog particles. Sharon gazes at the sky, feeling the weight of her responsibilities. She remembers the words of Proverbs, verse 3, chapter 5 and 6. She mumbles them to herself.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight.
These words strengthen her as she leads the boys to her hovercar, determined to guide them toward a better path. Discontinuous images flood over the video screen in a tiny bar on the other side of Cyber City. The place is filthy, but cleaner than its clientele. Turtle Dove sits at the bar as an old 9 Inch Nails song plays overhead. Dark. Not just in color, but in timbre. It's a place where people can get lost in their thoughts. That's what Turtle Dove longs for. She wants a break, some time to unwind before she goes back on the hunt. The bartender, a robust man with all of one hair sprouting from his head, and a mouthful of rotting teeth slivers over. He has the worst dentures Turtle Dove has ever seen. Turtle Dove taps the top of her glass, indicating the need for a refill. The shadows of the bar show the bartender's age. The lines on his face and forehead are deeply drawn. The ugly bartender pours the steaming liquid out of a bottle. The fluid is green and acidic looking, and the steam heightens the effect. Dropping 3 credits on the table, Turtle Dove drinks it in one gulp and gestures for another. The bartender obliges. Each gulp empties the glass. The drink doesn't burn going down, but instead leaves her with a warm feeling inside. After a while, she leaves the seedy bar and stumbles out into the night. Hot and steamy air greets her. A man steps out in front of her from the alleyway. The man has the shakes. A juicer. He needs his fix. Turtle Dove stares at him as he pulls a gravity knife. A thrill wells up inside her. She chuckles, almost to herself, for its excitement that only she can understand. He tries to mug the wrong person. The man's bulging eyes show his fear, which runs deep and is growing. He looks like his stomach is in knots. Stammering out something incoherent, the man appears almost comical to her. She'll enjoy this, and she knows it. With angelic grace, Turtle Dove grabs the man's knife arm and twists it up, snapping the bone. The bone breaks through the skin, and his blood splatters on his face, making the junkie wince and scream with a giddy, almost intoxicated laugh. The stuff he's on must be powerful. Turtle Dove shivers in orgasmic ecstasy, then shoves the bent and broken arm into the guy's face, killing him instantly. She briefly examines the crumpled body, disappointed her opponent didn't fight longer, then sighs and waltzes away. The rain starts slowly at first, gradually building to a heavier rhythm. Turtle Dove doesn't mind the rain that bathes her and mats her hair to her skin, while it rolls sweat into her eyes, causing them to sting. It makes for fewer people on the streets. Gently, her arm buzzes against her sleeve. She lifts the sleeve of her coat away to reveal a cybernetic enhancement. The enhancement gives off a strange blue glow in the rain, like lightning dancing up and down her arm. She presses a button, and a holographic blue face appears. On seeing, she gives herself a brain shot of juice. The high is perfect, steadying her from the boring troll about to speak. The audio links straight into the little earpieces hidden within her left ear, giving her a tender sense of being connected to her boss in a small emotional way.
Dove, Turtle, reporting,
she announces as her eyes narrow. The floating head above the enhancement on the bottom end of her arms nods in acknowledgement. Dove, what is the status of the Aniston, Newton, and White kids? Heaving deeply, she explains.
My next target, sir. Aniston is within this sector, sir.
Good. Get it done fast. Do what you are paid to do.
Her handler says, curt and abrupt. She thinks.
Some people just can't handle the weight.
Knowing the kill must be completed but dreading the emotional fallout, Turtle Dove wishes to scream. The fallout never goes away until you're numb. She decides to give herself another juice hit, but not just yet. She likes to be patient with her highs, enjoying the trepidation. The floating head signs off, and Turtle Dove lets her arm fall to her side. She runs her tongue along her top lip and continues striding through the pouring rain. She hums an old childhood melody to herself.
Jesus loves me, this I know, 'cause the Bible tells me so.
After a few blocks, she halts and presses a small button on her cybernetic enhancement. A digital map materializes on a small screen in her arm. A pulsing red dot marks her current position. The corporation has attached a beacon to her heart. Wherever she goes, they know. If the pulsing stops, the corporation knows she has died. Turtle Dove muses.
Intimate. Knowing someone's every heartbeat.
The small arrow icon on the map indicates the target. Briefly, she ponders Hastings' ability to gather intelligence on subjects in the city. She wonders what information they keep on her. The assassin nods to herself as she hunkers down in a small shop's darkened doorway and waits. Consummate professional, she requires facial recognition of the target before acting. It even figures into the contract payments and future work. Less collateral damage means more money and bonuses. That means the waiting game for her. She inhales deeply and exhales slowly. Turtle Dove doesn't mind. This is what she's paid for. If she weren't such a perfectionist, she would go in all guns blazing. However, she takes pride in her work. The pride comes with a price. More money for less collateral damage. This means extra caution on every assignment. Often, she feels like the deer hunter, waiting hours before prey to get off the best shot. Once the target is identified and confirmed, Turtle Dove will make the kill, quick and efficient. She hunkers down out of the rain and pulls out a wallet-sized leather pack from inside her coat pocket, unzipping the small case to reveal a juice injector. She yanks out a small vial and shakes it until the black fluid runs from the top into the clear fluid below it. When the two fluids mix, she smiles, watching the mesmerizing dance of liquids. She snaps the vial into the injector mechanism, placing the gun-like object next to her temple. She holds her breath and fires, sending the juice directly through her skull. With the impact into her brain, she is awash in lights and sounds, while all the neurons in her brain fire at once, causing instant harmony with the universe. For a moment, bliss fills her. Turtle Dove shudders and blinks a few times. She is alert, patient, waiting for the morning light to hit. The day starts badly. Dreams and reality blur. Time escapes him. It's one of those horrible hours when a person doesn't quite know the time of day. What day is it? Johnson only knows it's early. With a sense of dread, he rolls over. The horrid red digits of his alarm clock burn like a flame into his mind, showing the time. Although blurred, the image is clear enough to read 10 to 4 in the morning. He slaps his fist into his mattress. Christ. The red light triggers a flood of memories. The battlefield, the blood, the screams. Johnson's heart races. His breath quickens. He clenches his fists, trying to ground himself in the present. He forces himself to focus on the here and now. But the images keep flashing. Red lights are one of his most potent triggers for both flashbacks and his headaches. He thinks to himself, damn war. Johnson sleeps in his lightweight running suit. It's a habit left over from his military days. If there's an emergency, no one wants to die in their underwear. Tonight, his clothes are drenched. soaked worse than if he'd had a midnight swim in the pool. Johnny rolls over onto his back. Sweat covers his torso, and the heat feels unbearable. It's as if he has been lying in the desert in the midday sun. Outside his shabby apartment, bright neon lights flicker with the buzz of vehicles zipping by, a combination of early commuters and late-night risk-takers. Sliding his legs off the bed, Johnson gets up with a grunt, picking up the sheet that had fallen off during the night. He throws the sheet back onto the bed, tucking it back in, nice and neat. In some aspects of his life, his military mind still runs the old sawmill of his brain. This is one of them. As usual, Johnny's apartment feels empty. He pours a whiskey shot from the bottle on the nightstand and sits down. His eyes become unfocused and his mind drifts. But he reaches down, lifts the shot glass to his mouth, and finishes it. The old grandfather clock built in Switzerland chimes on the wall. The fan swirls and hums. Time and its passing linger in Johnny's mind. Gazing at his flesh hand and slowly turning it over, Johnny sees his past. On the bottom of his hand is a small tattoo of an X. At each angle are the letters PHCS, Philadelphia Hardcore Scene. The tattoo is one of the few impulsive moves of his rocky youth. He had been straight edge then. Though he drinks now, Johnny's soul checks and is amazed at how much of the creed he still holds to. Despite the war that had claimed his other hand and arm, feeling the scruff on his face, Johnson walks into the small bathroom. In the haze of waking, he says, "Lights." Typical of a man living alone, the toilet seat is up. Yawning, he begins to piss. He coughs and spits the mixture of blood and phlegm into the toilet before flushing. His body is paunchy and old. His insides scream like a tortured prisoner in an aged cell. Running the tap, he washes his hands. With a special hard laser brush, he repairs the gaps in his arm where the faux flesh has come away, leaving the insulation layer of his bionic arm out for show. And then he splashes some cold water over his face and body. His mind returns to his encounter with his daughter, and tears no one will ever see run down his face. He hates his life. Briefly wondering where the spring of his life is gone, he thinks of his winter. No self-pity, Johnson. You received what you deserved, he tells himself. The cold image of himself quickly replaces sadness in the mirror. Just staring at the lines on his cheeks and around his eyes, he misses the gentle comfort of a woman. Quickly, he pushes that thought back into some compartment deep in his mind. He states, "Damn heat. I'm gonna melt," thinks Johnson as he leers at the aging man in the mirror. "You are losing it, Johnny boy. Keep your mind in the game. Focus. Life is shitting on you. So step up to it and spit right in its eye." He laughs to himself, or maybe at himself. He is not sure. And then he walks out, calling, "Lights," to put them out. The thermostat reads 85. Johnson lets out a strong guff like launching a willful curse at the thermometer for its reading. And then it hits him, saying that it's just a kill the messenger approach. Thinking of all the nights he has just crawled to the floor and lain there, feeling empty, Johnson decides he may as well stay up. With resigned defeat, he walks into the kitchen to make coffee. The tea and 2 cups of coffee the man drank earlier clearly didn't have the desired caffeine fix, and the wash did nothing for the bags under his eyes. Asking for the kitchen lights to be dimmed, he realizes his place is old-fashioned in a dire way. Luckily, he has an almost up-to-date coffee maker, which he switches on and fills with 1B water from his tap. 1B water is drinkable, but the city suggests that the user boil it first, which is the detective's plan anyway. Johnny commands, "Coffee, black, 3 sugars." Strong. There is a beep, and the machine goes to work. Johnson grabs his fresh, strong coffee and sits at the kitchen table, where the white case file is spread open. He picks up the most current picture that Lilli has given him of Eddie White. A simple-looking kid. He must have been about 9 or 10 in this picture. The kid still has his baby face, with high cheekbones and fat, puffy cheeks. The photo is not as new as he would have liked. The kid has a scruffy mop of hair, and his smile does not quite reach his eyes. He briefly thinks of his son, hoping he is asleep or studying hard. Probably not, though. The boy is his son, after all. Breaking all his thought process before he broke down again, Johnson stared intently at the photograph. "Talk to me, kid. What's going on?" As he stares at the picture of the now 11-year-old boy, Johnson commands the apartment's voice-activated module. Immediately, the radio plays a pre-programmed station on the channel with Jackie Cyber's show. An old song from their youth plays, but Johnny Johnson pays no heed as he tries to fathom what this child's mother isn't telling him. Something gnaws at him. He thinks, sure, kids go missing, and they run away from home. But she didn't come across as just a worried mother. Besides, she didn't go to the police, and she contacted my office right away, not giving the boy a chance to come back on his own. I am missing something here. Johnson finishes his cup of Java and pushes back from the table to order his machine to make another. The hazy sun rises, announcing another hot, sticky day. Traffic builds up and the city's flickering lights beam. A blackbird perches on the parapet of a skyscraper. When the sun's rays reach it, the blackbird dances in a funky circle and then flies off. Turtledove sits poised in the shop's doorway. She stands and ambles into the street. Stopping his movement from the target's house grabs her attention. In her mind, the old Bob Dylan song, "Knocking on Heaven's Door," plays. Wide-eyed and alert, Turtledove approaches the door. The sun on her shoulders gives her a strange sense of comfort and warmth. In her mind, the heavens reward diligent commitment to work. Turtledove dons a pair of clear shades that wrap around her head. She scans the house. Heat signatures mark 5 beings. One is an animal.
Dog.
She thinks. She liked dogs. When she was a child, her parents gave her a Rottweiler for her 7th birthday. Tilting her head, a small heat pattern ripples on her left. An infant, not the target. Scanning left, her glasses show the shape of a boy. Reflexively, Turtledove smiles.
Almost time.
The front door opens and a woman in her mid-30s stands in the golden sunlight. She lets out the family dog, a Scottie. The dog runs around in the front garden, barking at nothing. Its yaps are happy and spirited. Probably, the dog is just telling all of its doggy friends that it's awake, and the sun is shining, or that its masters are getting up and ready for a new day. Breathing softly, like an infant in the night, Turtledove waits. She thinks.
It won't be long until the kid's dead.
The sound of a jetpack descending breaks the assassin's concentration, briefly, as the world post-service jet-setting woman floats down to the gate. She waves briefly, calls out a greeting, and then hands over packages. Barking, the dog wags its tail and rushes over to her. Turtledove is out of earshot, missing the exchange of morning pleasantries between the postal worker and the target's mother. Another heat signature, possibly the stepfather, registers on Turtledove's shades. He moves from one room to another. Yes, the infant's room.
Well, well. What do we have here?
Now she tracks 2 moving heat signatures, father and baby, heading downstairs.
Time to move.
Cautiously, the assassin prowls along the street until she hits the corner, then vaults the fence into a garden. Running through, the woman vaults again into the neighboring garden. Finally, she leaps into the target's garden, switching the vision on her shades. On the left side, the heat signatures linger, but the right side displays normal vision, except for a small image of the target in the corner. Jake Aniston, 11 years old, stirs under his duvet. Someone, his mother or his stepfather, invades his room and yanks open both the curtains and the window, allowing the sunbeams to land directly on the young boy's face. Turtle Dove chuckles at the boy's face, covered in clown white face paint and black mascara.
I guess he's goth or something,
The assassin observes. As if on cue, Turtle Dove hears Jake's soft voice say, "Music." In the background, an old song from Susie and the Banshees, "Kiss Them For Me," plays. The boy grunts and rolls over, trying to steal a few more moments of sleep. But sleep doesn't return as the sun pours through the shades and assaults his eyes. He tries closing his eyes harder to block the sun. There's a clean shot to the target, and Turtle Dove knows it. Swiftly, the assassin climbs the drain pipe that runs along the side of the house, and then crawls into the bathroom window. She moves silently, like a deadly predator. The woman pads stealthily into the corridor and peers into the target's room. The image on her right shade matches that face, and she's ready for the kill. Turtle Dove could confirm his identity without her special glasses, as the young boy is in bed. But his duvet hovers on its own about 10 feet above the bed, dancing to the beat of the music. The boy's eyes arise. In a flash, Turtle Dove leaps in for her strike and pins his shoulders to the bed. The speed of her strike deprives her victim of any opportunity to scream. He squirms as she clasps one hand over the boy's nose and mouth. The duvet drops down over the killer and the boy, covering them both as she pinches the boy's windpipe tightly, blocking all air. His eyeballs turn red as the blue veins bulge. He kicks and squirms a moment longer, but soon stops. The assassin muses.
Someday, one of these mutant freaks is going to be powerful enough to kill me. But not today. Today's surprise is on my side. I reign supreme.
The boy's body sprawls unnaturally on the bed when she releases his mouth. His lips are blue, and his mouth gapes open with drool dripping down the side. His clown-white makeup is smeared, and the skin on his neck is ashen gray. The boy lies still. When his heart stops thudding, his sphincter releases, filling the room with a foul odor. His killer kisses his lips softly, then switches her glasses to life signs mode and scans the body. Her glasses confirm back to her employers at the corporation that her kill is successful. Then, as swiftly as she entered, she flees the room, climbs back out the bathroom window, and heads away from the crime scene. The assassin hears a loud, bellowing scream from the end of the block. The voice is a woman's. It is the unmistakable scream of a mother finding her child dead. The scream echoes through the alleyways, a chilling reminder of the horrors she leaves behind in this hellscape.
His fault. He should have taken the job offer.
The assassin dances off, combining high-tech advancements and decaying urban life only adds to the bleak atmosphere where every corner hides a dark secret. Thank you for listening to Red Light Falling, written by Joseph and Marisha Cautilli. The novel Red Light Falling, a noir tale of redemptions by John Andrews, Joseph Cautilli, and Marisha Cautilli. Part 1 of the Nanite Nation trilogy. Director and producer, Roma Gray. Executive producer credits, Marisha and Joseph Cautilli. Narrated by Joshua Banks and Shauna Lee Carton.